Through our recent reflections, I've come to understand that my educational career was one of great privilege. However, through my journey in the Educational Studies Department, I've been exposed to the other side of this educational system that has brought me so far. Little did I know that for every resource I was afforded, low-income students were being deprived of what I would consider to be the bare minimum of educational necessities. So let's put some numbers to this concept. In low-income school districts, schools have, on average, 27% of the books recommended for success, while high-income school districts average well over 75% of these books. So what about teachers? It's true that teacher experience correlates with student success. Low-income schools are 77% more likely than high-income schools to hire non-credentialed teachers. So low-income students are not only being deprived of text materials, they're also being denied what some would argue is the crux of the classroom and success: an able teacher. These are only a few examples of the disparities we see between educational opportunities in low and high income areas. So how do we attack these inequalities? Where can low-income students be afforded high-income community resources? The answer is in the charter school movement. So, it appears that I might have been wrong. I was under the impression that without the dictation of the public school authority, but with government funding, these schools could house the most innovative teaching techniques and place emphasis on individual needs rather than test scores. However, as I began researching, I found myself heavily filtering the sources that I would potentially use. For every article in support of the charter school movement, I had to sift through 5 that claimed that charter schools were not doing their job or falling short in bridging the achievement gap. However, in all of the success stories that I found, there was a clear common thread. Those charter schools that were succeeding placed heavy emphasis on culturally relevant pedagogy. So here is how I redirected my obsessions and came to understand how I truly want to bridge gaps in my own classrooms, whether this be in a charter school or a public school, through culturally relevant pedagogy. Because I have a position as an elementary school teacher after graduation, I wanted to focus this presentation on 10 or so key first steps gathered through literature review and teacher interviews in successfully implementing culturally relevant pedagogy in my own elementary school classroom. First, I plan to greet each and every student with a warm welcome and genuine interest in their well-being every time they walk into my classroom. I also plan to run class meet times based around my own students' interests. I would also like to allow regular reflective processing time that allows students to write or otherwise express whatever emotions or events they may be grappling with and not comfortable sharing in class discussion. I will communicate high expectations, consistent messages from the teacher and hopefully the whole school that students will succeed. I plan to activate teaching methods or instruction designed to promote student engagement by requiring that students play an active role in crafting curriculum and developing learning activities. I plan to be a facilitator with an active teaching environment. The teacher's role is one of guide, mediator, and knowledgeable consultant as well as instructor, instead of dictator. I plan to put positive perspectives on parents and families of culturally and linguistically diverse students. There's ongoing participation with students, parents, and community members on issues important to them. I also plan to be culturally sensitive. To maximize learning opportunities, I should gain the knowledge of cultures represented in my classroom and translate this knowledge into instructional practice. Next, I hope to reshape the curriculum. A reshaped curriculum is culturally responsive to the background of students. I also plan to incorporate culturally mediated instruction, or instruction that's characterized by the use of culturally mediated cognition, culturally appropriate social situations for learning, and culturally valued knowledge in curriculum content. I also want my students to control the classroom discourse. I want students to be given the opportunity to control some portion of the lesson, providing me with insight into the ways that speech and negotiation are used in the home of my kids. I also plan to involve small group instruction and academically related discourse. I want my instruction to be organized around low-pressure, student-controlled learning groups that can assist in the development of an academic language. Finally, and most importantly, I want to emphasize respect. And the way that I earn the respect of my students first is by respecting them and treating them as individuals.